This is Trisha Carr. I'm inviting you to Astral Mastery, the ultimate intuitive expansion, human design, and astral exploration program designed to elevate your astral awakening journey at any stage. Whether you're a novice or a seasoned explorer, you are offered an adventure into the depths of intuitive development and the vastness of spiritual expansion, a 6-month journey which offers you the choice to fully participate in the live training and coaching sessions or to learn and observe passively. If you would like to expand your intuitive abilities, your intuition, your human design experiment, and to cultivate spiritual abilities such as astral projection, remote viewing, lucid dreaming, and so much more, then join this program. We can't wait to journey with you. Hello and welcome to the Charmed Life podcast. This podcast is all about magic, metaphysics, mysticism, and the unconditional love of the universe, and I am your host. My name is Trisha Carr. Welcome to this episode in which I am sharing some content from some teaching, some channeling, something that I have done in the recent past that I just wanted to share with you on this outlet. Now, this is something that I haven't shared on the podcast before. I may have actually shared it by live on YouTube, on some other platform, or it may have come from one of my classes. That's the whole point of giving you these little episodes. Well, they're not little episodes. I hope it's a big, fat, juicy episode for you. But I wanted to be able to make sure that you got some delicious stuff while we're moving through the different ways that I'm creating fresh new solo episodes, or I'm actually interviewing and having conversations with people. I wanted to give you some cool stuff here. So stay tuned, and I hope you enjoy. Welcome to this lesson on astral projection, OBE, out-of-body experience. We're going to look at an overview of what the benefits of this practice is. And before we head into that, I'll go ahead and clarify the typical use of the word astral projection as opposed to OBE. And of course, they're somewhat synonymous, but I'll go over it anyway. So out-of-body experience is a very common term. And that often refers to either the conscious, the self-initiated experience of going out of the body to explore the non-physical, but it also is utilized for when people have near-death experiences and they have that out-of-body experience of going into the non-physical. And so they might be seeing their past loved ones, going through the tunnel of light, blah, blah, blah. And in the program, we're going to be breaking that stuff down in a lot of exciting detail, nuanced, and perhaps in ways that at least I haven't taught about it before, because I want to go into a different, a pivot to another angle so that we can see in a different way what these experiences are, that we may be able to embody them and, expand our awareness around them. And of course, that's what this is all about. It's expanding, right? Expanding consciousness. So again, out-of-body experiences is maybe more of a catch-all. It might refer to when someone has a near-death experience and they go out of their body and have all of that, and then obviously eventually come back if they live to tell the tale. And it also could refer to when it just happens spontaneously, even if it's not correlated to a near-death experience. So that might be one night you were having a normal night's sleep, but then you had this sudden awake while you were asleep and had a profound experience that was unlike anything else you had experienced. And I'll just tell you this. Astral projection or out-of-body experience is unlike anything else. It's unlike a vivid dream. It's unlike lucid dreamings, although there are some, they're like kissing cousins in a way. And all of that, again, we're going to be breaking down in the program. And then astral projection, it has come to refer to when a person is consciously and self-initiating leaving the body to explore. Now, that leaving of the body to explore that is self-initiated may be because you went to sleep and then it occurred, but because you have been doing certain practices, because you have been intending to do it, it may happen while you don't fall completely asleep, or it may happen when you do fall asleep and then awaken within that experience. Once again, we'll break all of that down, but just to give us a little bit of a jumping off point. So if you hear me say OBE or astral projection, we also operate in a realm where these are interchangeable, which they will be in this lesson. And this lesson is really just going to be an overview of what the benefits are of having an out of body experience. And by the way, I feel like I should digress one more time and just say many of us who have already been working together, or perhaps it's your first time that we'll be working together, you may be wondering, or you may be wondering, like, how is this different from my psychic abilities, from my intuitive abilities? Because I do speak to non-physical entities and I pull information and insight from the non-physical realms. And so let me put a little bit of a framework around that. This is again just a model. Imagine that, in which we can all relate to this, of course, because none of us have been everywhere on the planet, but just to give us a physical example of what that might be, the distinction between having your intuitive abilities where you're pulling information in from the non-physical and then what an out-of-body experience is. You maybe are a big fan of Greece, the islands of Greece, and you read books on it, you watch documentaries, you have friends there, family there, and you're talking to people and you're looking on the internet at all those. You haven't physically been there yet. You may even be able to speak Greek and cook Greek food, but the actual occupation with your full form hasn't been to Greece yet. So I would say advanced, experienced psychics, that's what that's what we are experiencing. We know so much about it. We are communicating with it. We are taking a lot of our awareness there. If you're watching a documentary, you're talking to people on Zoom, you're reading books about it. So much of your awareness is there. And then there is still a final frontier for you to have your full being there and to actually touch the sand and smell the breeze firsthand and to eat the food indigenous to that land. That's the difference there. Because going out of body, even though you leave your physical body behind, your physical body is subject to your light body or your astral body. It's a part of your body. So taking your full light body, it takes your full consciousness, both your subconscious and your conscious mind. And your sensory perception is even more real, it's hyper real to your physical senses. So you see, it's not limited at all by the physical. In fact, it's hyper real. It's even more real than real life. That's the difference that we're talking about here. And that's the juicy, delicious journey that we are heading into. All right, let's move forward. Let's just talk about the benefits of having astral projection or out of body experiences. And I'm actually taking a list and expanding on it from one of my book recommendations, which is William Buhlman, Adventures Beyond the Body. And I recommend that if you haven't already, to begin reading this book. You can read it or you can listen to it on Audible. I usually do both. That's my habit. I'm starting to listen to the audiobook, and then I actually am referencing the physical paper book or the Kindle book. That's my habit. So William Buhlman, and his name is spelled Buhlman, Adventures Beyond the Body. So attributing this list to William Buhlman, he has several ways that he actually explores the benefits of it, and this is just one of them. So here's a little PDF. I'm going to just zoom through this in a cursory way real fast, and then I'm going to break down a few of these, not all of them because there's 24, but I'm going to give this to you so that you can contemplate it. We have 24 reported benefits of OBE, aka astral projection. And these benefits, like I said, are reported from people doing studies and interviewing people that have had astral projection or OBE. Maybe they've had near-death experiences, and this is a collated list that many of them, like in William's book, he references like 78% of the people reported this, that, and the other thing. Maybe not with every single point, but generally speaking. So, expanded awareness, personal growth, greater understanding of the universe, spiritual growth, expanded perception, increased vital energy, as in vital life energy, overcoming the fear of death, overcoming the fear of dying, lucid dreaming enhancement, physical healing, psychological healing, exploration of alternate realities, experiencing pure consciousness. For some, that might be God, interdimensional travel, meeting deceased loved ones, developing psychic abilities, accessing Akashic records, a sense of deepened inner calm, receiving guidance, increased intelligence, memory recall, and enhanced imagination, time travel, self-discovery, and direct experiences with higher realms. So once again, if we are people who have either really developed our psychic and intuitive abilities, or if we're someone who is interested in developing psychic intuitive abilities, or if we've maybe had readings, and so we've seen the evidence of being able to have contact with these non-physical realms, the heightened awareness and wisdom that comes from these direct experiences, full and complete experiences with the non physical realms or the astral. It's just something that this is really and truly the heightened experience available to us because it is leaving the physical experience. Now, let's just break down a few of these. What the benefits really are like. So let's talk about the greater awareness of reality, an expanded awareness. And in these studies, this is one of the ones that 78% of people experienced a lasting benefit from having gone out of body. It should be noted that not necessarily were these people, spiritual seekers as we in this program are. They were people having a typical experience. And the fact that they were able to expand their awareness from this singular event is quite notable. Now, other people have these self-initiated expansion experiences, whether they are beginning to meditate, maybe they have them by doing some kind of plant medicine ceremony, ayahuasca, or other kinds of psychedelic chemical drug experiences. And those experiences can be highly beneficial to people. For example, ayahuasca. That does seem to be similar, if not exactly, like having an out-of-body experience for some people who are having those experiences. However, the difference is it's clearly not sustainable to do that kind of chemically induced out-of-body experience because you can't do that every day, but you can do a self-initiated astral projection every day if you wanted to, because in fact, as one of our benefits said, we have increased vitality. It actually benefits us physically. So it is something that is beneficial for us to do every day. So this greater awareness of reality, or this expanded awareness, is so valuable. It's something that many people never experience in this entire life. And I imagine that we've each lived other lives in which we didn't have this opportunity of expanded awareness of reality. So this is one that really I think we're all here hungering for. And even though we may have already, in order to get to this program, had experiences that expanded our awareness of reality, there's always more. Isn't there always more because the universe is unlimited? Well, even as you enter into a self initiated practice of astral projection, perhaps we're at the pinnacle of how we may go about it, the method of it. But when we get there, we are still in an unlimited space of exploration. Next, let's talk about the personal verification of our immortality. Now, again, seekers tend to have this as a belief at the very least, if not something that they feel that we've had a validation about. Perhaps we've either had or given a reading from a past loved one or some other kind of non-physical or interdimensional entity that is bringing us insight that we couldn't possibly have made up. And yet, imagine the difference between knowing that there is a place called Greece, talking to people who are in a place called Greece, and absolutely being there, completely being there. The wisdom that you bring back from such an experience of an out-of-body experience is something that cannot be measured, is incomparable to anything else, any other kind of interaction with it, because you're limitlessly there as your being. So without a doubt at all, out-of-body experience provides that first-hand knowledge. Wisdom only comes from experience. Intelligence and other kinds of ways that we enhance our gnosis, our knowing, that can come in many other ways, but wisdom can only come from experience. So while we are having experience by communicating and reading about and allowing our awareness to go into non-physical in all of the ways that spiritual seekers are, to bring your full consciousness, your full awareness to it without any limitations. That's the ultimate journey of wisdom. But it's still a journey, isn't it? So, next, let's talk about accelerated personal growth, personal development. This is our character, our personal life, our grounded human experience. So while we are talking about going into the far reaches of the expanded universe, what is so beautiful about spiritual exploration, when it is a true spiritual expansion and a true spiritual exploration, is that it makes you love this life even more. It makes you better at this human physical life. So the acceleration to personal development in all areas of romance, finance, family, relation, compassion, wisdom, being able to be of service, absolutely everything you can imagine that is a character experience of being a human being can be accelerated, possibly like nothing else, through this practice of out-of-body experiencing. What's next? Oh, yes. Let's move to the decreased fear of death, overcoming the fear of death. Now, part of the reason is because we see hey, I don't even have my physical body with me and I'm still existing. And in fact, I'm existing even more. So that's one way. And yes, as people who are moving into the non-physical realms through the other ways that we do, I feel like I have a certainty. I've had a pretty secure uh, over overcoming of the fear of death for a while, and I feel like I don't know. Somehow I didn't have a very strong fear of death, even in the periods of my life when I was the least awakened, if you will. And yet, when I had astral projection, two significant ones where just having the experience did helped me to overcome any fear of death. And then in those experiences, I also was able to overcome the fear of dying. These two are sort of overlapping. But I had two primary experiences that dealt with death as ways to help me to be able to continue the practice of it, or to continue to be open to the practice of it at least, because I was able to see that I experienced, really it is like firsthand, dying. And yet, obviously, I came back. I didn't have a physical trigger of it, though. So in these experiences, I didn't have a near-death experience like, you know, my heart stopped, I was dead on the table. Physically, I was completely intact. It was just that these astral projections took me to events where I experienced death. And again, the experience of it is as real, or it's maybe hyper real, it's more real than the physical experience of it. And so, because in both of these experiences, well, one of the experiences I actually asked, can I please not have pain or, suffering in this dying experience? And the answer came through as yes. So, am I guaranteed that I'm not going to have pain when I die in this life? I guess not, but it sort of doesn't matter to me, because the fact that I have experienced a death without pain or suffering, and I mean without physical pain and without emotional and mental pain, I'm open to whatever will happen as this life physically experiences death. And then, of course, the loss of the fear of death, of actually being dead, is gone, because we have firsthand experience and wisdom that there is something that is beyond. Because usually people that have a fear of death, it's really a fear of the unknown. Well, that's cleared up when we have the knowing of beyond death. We also have this increased psychic intuitive abilities benefit, because intuitive abilities, psychic abilities, is the ability to be in the awareness of the non-physical. And as I've said many times, if we want to increase those abilities, there would be nothing like actually fully being in the occupation of the non-physical. As I have been enhancing my self-initiated astral projection practice, my intuitive abilities, they are palpably even more on, if you will, to where, my husband can see it. And he sees it anyway often, but he's even seen them show up even more, where he's like, wow, like your telepathy, your precognition, your being able to psychically psychically solve problems that seem to be mundane. But then we recognize that there is nothing mundane too. That's a part of this, I would say, that is a benefit that's not necessarily in this list. I'll give you an example of that. My husband's phone the other day, he plugged it in, it had died, and he plugged it in, and he went back like an hour later, and he's like, oh my gosh, my phone didn't charge. It must be this cable or the adapter of the charger. And he's like, that's weird. It's not very old. So then he went and put it in another charger, and it still didn't charge. And he's like, okay, so it's my phone. There's something wrong with my phone, but I don't know, because the phone's not very old. And then I felt it come in psychically. I felt it come in intuitively. And I said, take off the case. And he goes, but the case, there's such a huge hole, like it's not touching the adapter. And I'm like, I don't know, take off the case. Took off the case. Boom, it worked. We have no idea why. The case didn't seem to be interfering with the charge at all. But for whatever reason, that mundane answer to a problem, or I guess I should say an answer to a mundane problem, came through to me psychically. And he's like, that's so interesting. And also, what's funny about it, he's noticing it because he often asks me for answers about mundane things. And I go, I don't know. And he's like, but can't you do your thing? Okay. I'm like, oh, well, I guess I can, but I just didn't have it turned on. I didn't have it switched on. So the switched on of my intuitive abilities, it is more on, and in a way that's easier. I think the reason I don't have it on more is because it takes focus. It takes a kind of like shift that requires a little bit of vital energy. And so I'm kind of blurring the lines to that needing to be such a shift, you know? And yet at the same time, I'm still completely grounded in this experience. So it's not interfering with my life at all. It's just blurring the lines so that we are more of an occupation of the full existence of the self. So that's pretty fun. All right, let's see where I want to go next. Spontaneous healing, spontaneous physical healing. This is something that I have shared that uh, as being able to be more physically, and not physically, fully in occupation of the non physical realms by astral projection and out of body experiencing. Then, when it is time to communicate with the higher self, which is the non-physical, the part of us that is the greater part of us, living, existing in non-physical, then I'm able to more fully trust higher self and to have a clearer channel of communication with higher self. So I had an incident where the I had it was actually in the right ear. I had hearing loss. It was an 80% hearing loss in my right ear, and it went on for 5 weeks. And the reason it went on for so long was because at first I thought it would just go away. I thought it was maybe some wax that was in my ear, and so I let it go for a while. And then I got busy, and it's like I need to make a doctor's appointment. And I have experienced a hearing loss like that, and it was because I needed to have wax taken out, which is why I was saying as soon as I can get to the doctor, I can make this hearing loss go away. And then, then I made a doctor's appointment. Then it took 2 weeks. So anyway, basically, I had told my body that I needed to go to the doctor before I could have the release of this hearing loss. Went to the doctor, and the doctor very casually told me that I had 80% hearing loss. Yes, it can happen acutely, and it's just permanent. Give up. That's what he told me. But he did give me an idea of what it was. Because I was like, how does one without some kind of injury have acute hearing loss? And he called it sensory neural hearing loss. It can happen spontaneous, and it often happens because of stress. I went and looked that up, and it did say in my investigation that it is almost always permanent. It's really rare that it's a temporary kind of hearing loss. But since I got a little sliver into it, I took it to my higher self and asked higher self as I went into the deep trance and in a lucid state of self-initiated lucid dreaming. That's really what it was. So I was not totally in an astral projection, but I was almost there. And because of my astral projection experience, I knew how to get there and I knew how to trust it. And so I asked higher self if this was a beneficial part of my path to have hearing loss. And I was in a completely neutral state. I was capable of handling whatever the information was. And higher self said no. So then after that, and I asked what the benefits were for me to even have this. Is there anything that I can gain from this experience and turn into wisdom before I release this hearing loss? And I did get some of that. And also got a little travel into Akashic records because ear chakras and Akashic records have an intrinsic link. And then when I came out of that, then I did my typical, my self-healing, my clinical hypnotherapeutic skills with my self-hypnosis, and I healed it in a day and a half. And the doctor kept, they called me like 3 times, like, why did you cancel your appointment? And I was like, because I don't need it. So there's an example of a journey of spontaneous healing. But then you've probably heard out of body experiences that are correlated to death or near death experiences. By just being in that awareness, they come back with the just knowing that they don't need these ailments or whatever had caused the death experience in the first place. And then it just spontaneously heals. So let me look at my list. I know I'm going into some of these, but I really created this because I want you to contemplate all of these on your own, read each of them, and kind of be in the contemplative state of how there is always more for us to experience and how much, and allow yourself to kind of create an appetite around these expanded experiences, these benefits, because that's going to feed right into your practice of creating self-initiated astral projections. All right, let's see, where do I want to go next? Oh, well, how about encounters with either past loved ones or non-physical entities such as angels or others? Now, this is something, again, to have that as a full experience. Wow. This, if you listen to people's near-death experiences, or you listen to people's experience of using chemicals in order to get there, imagine being able to do that as a self-initiated practice as often as you like, and to be able to have those face-to-face encounters, to be able to have a full sensory experience, fuller than the physical experience, but as best as we can imagine, a full sensory experience, to be able to have this and to be able to utilize the experience fully, and to be able to visit without any limitations, without any veils, and to have that and bring it into your physical life. It's real. And imagine if we were all on this planet doing it, how we would be healing our society, healing our planet, having the the first-hand experience of our unity. That's what we are bringing in with this practice. Now, we are way showers. Not everyone will have the interest, possible inkling even to broach the subject of this, the personal and spiritual development, to be able to consider something like self-initiated astral projection or any of the other things that we get up to in our spiritual seeking, right? And not everyone, even as they are spiritual seekers, will allow themselves to create the practice, because it is a lifestyle, but it's a beautiful one. And again, everything else in the life, to be able to trust that everything else in life actually gets easier, falls into place, as we're doing this more, if you will, advanced practice. It doesn't take a special being. You are special as you are. It is something that is here for all of us. It's really just a willingness and a surrender to it. I know that everyone who's here is surrendering to it. But I'm talking about all of the human race. While not everyone will be enlightened into this practice, you being enlightened into it spreads that light, and it just raises the vibrational quotient of the entire human race that much more. So I want to thank you for doing that, and I'm thanking me for doing that too, because it's something that we really need, isn't it? And finally, let's just talk a little bit about inner calm. That is something that I'll tell you, I teach at HMI College of Hypnotherapy, the hypnotherapy college from which I graduated. I'm on the faculty there as well. And with all of these budding new hypnotherapists, one thing that I impress upon them is listen. The fact that you are able to help people to relax and feel calm in your session, because we always do, in order to go into meditation or hypnosis of any kind, you need to be relaxed. You need to calm. You need to calm the body, which will help to calm the mind. And I tell them that is worth your session fee, because so many people never have calm, never have a relaxed being, and an inner calm that is always there to be able to create that peace and presence. That is being a walking prayer. That is something that we're always cultivating. And wow, that is actually, it's interesting. We think of calm as something quiet and soft and almost, non-active, inactive. But to me, that feels like freedom. And we think of freedom as flying, which is something we do experience typically in astral projection. Woo, it's the best. And we think of freedom as highly active, or at least the capacity the permission to do any activity. But the intersection of calm, deep inner calm, and freedom, whew, it's like the intersection of spirit and nature. Now, of course, I'll just close this out with something to along the lines of how valuable it is to have increased intelligence, increased memory recall, and enhanced imagination, enhanced creativity. Well, that's another way that we can make this life so, so much more exciting, so much freer, and so much more valuable. That is what is, those are just some of the benefits that I just am, my appetite is just enhanced even more. As I get satisfied into these benefits, I am excited about them even more. It takes the doors off of any of the any of the limitations of this life, and yet at the same time makes every moment of this life so much sweeter. So there you go. There are some of our benefits to out of body experiences, AKA astral projection. And I can't wait to continue to share with you, because the practices, the discipline, if you will, the discipleship in order to support these self initiated astral projection experiences, that is, that alone, all of these practices and this enhanced lifestyle, that's the where the value is in and of itself. And then we also get these wonderful experiences. So, are you ready to travel? Let's get into it. That's what I have for you in this episode. Be sure to check the show notes for all of the cool things that are going on at this time and how we could work more closely together, and also how you could support the Charmed Life podcast. Thanks for tuning in. I love you, whoever you are.